Hey everybody. This is going to be a quick demo on how to take multiple scans and combine them into a single image. So this is something you might have from, say, spring semester or fall semester of last year, if you have any of your sort of hand-drafted drawings that you've scanned in, or if you have access to a scanner where you are now. And then how to clean up that line drawing, so a drafted hand drawing or something like that, to be presentable in a portfolio. So first off, I have Photoshop open. So I already have a file that just has a couple different images, and forgot my Windows photo viewer doesn't work, so I'm just going to have to make these larger so we can see them. They're 4 different scans of a project, and actually this is, I think, a project I might have done in second year of undergrad or something like that. Don't remember exactly, but here they are. Some precedent analysis that I had done, and I just happen to have the original scans for. So these are all of the same image. They were just scanned 4 times because it didn't fit on the bed, the scanner bed, that is. So to combine them, Photoshop has this great feature called Photoshop Automate Photo Merge right down here. And it's going to pop up this window here. And essentially what you want to do is there's a few different options here. So this can be a great way to make panoramic views too. If you were to take a whole bunch of camera shots in a row, it can stitch them together and sort of make a single panoramic. However, in this case, we're only sort of taking these scanned images and sorting them and reconfiguring them so that they fit together properly. So I could use the auto feature, but I'm specifically just going to go down to reposition because I know that's what is necessary. And then I need to gather those files. So I already have them saved in a folder, and just select all 4 of these, which are the 4 corners, load them in, and hit OK. This usually takes a couple seconds to a minute or 2, depending on the files you're bringing in, their quality, how big they are, how many of them there are, and how much overlap there is. So one key thing here is that your images, in order for this to work, need to have overlap. Photoshop needs to be able to read what is in common so that when it puts them together, it can see how they fit together. So just like that, it brought them all together. You can see on the right side, there's actually 4 different images that it sort of randomly cropped using a crop pattern that looks something like that. Real weird looking, but that's its sort of internal logic. If I wanted to, I could get rid of these. I could say merge layers, and now it's just one image. Now, this image does have some area in the background, as you see the checkerboard pattern, that's essentially didn't get filled in, and that's just because the things weren't perfectly lined up. The easiest way to deal with that is just select these areas, which are pretty small anyways, and then I'm just going to do the, with the layer selected, do that again, do the fill option, and I'm going to leave it on content aware, and it'll just fill in the side of the page, usually pretty accurately. So same thing up here. I might even just do the whole edge because I saw that there's a little bit of extra junk there. And select content aware, fill, and hit OK. So it'll process for a second. This is a larger area, so the larger the area, the longer it's going to take for content aware. So the next thing is, this is a line drawing done with pencil, and the scan isn't perfect. We can see there are smudges. There are what possibly might be a scratch in the lens of the scanner itself or on the scanner bed. Just general dirt, grime, and filth. There's also maybe some mistakes. So the easiest way to handle these is just kind of select them and just continue doing the same process of the fill. We can also use the clone stamp tool, which is this guy here, which the clone stamp tool will copy from one place to another. And you can do the same sort of brush adjustments in the size and shape of it. So I'm just holding the Alt key and moving right in order to make the brush larger. Again, this is on the PC. It is a different key command on Mac. And this will allow me to, say, get rid of that area. And of course, if I go too far, I will start copying the wall, which is less than useful. But this can be good for some of the larger smudges. And the nice thing is it keeps the original texture of the paper. which we're actually going to be mostly getting rid of anyways in this process, but I like to start this way because then at least the whole page starts from the same starting point, as opposed to having like pure white on the page somewhere where I just whited out a mistake. So I would just go through and generally do this sort of thing until I get rid of the major things. You know, you can also see here that there's the edge of a page. I'll just white that out. And okay, so I'm going to get rid of one more area right here, just because these are so bad looking. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go down here to layer adjustments, and I'm going to pull up the levels adjustment. Essentially what this is, it's a graph of all of the color information on your image right now. You can see the majority of the page is white, so that's why if we look at this graph here where it is white on the far right side, that's where the majority of the graph is. If we had a photograph with all different colors and tones, this might have different peaks and valleys in it. But because this is a scanned document, it is predominantly white with some areas of gray and black tone. In order to sort of clean up the whites, the easiest thing to do is actually just kind of drag this slider on the far right here just a little bit over. Essentially what it's doing is anything that is in that white range, it's just kind of smoothing out and making it pure white again. Now this can start to lose, if you go too far, you lose all of your detail. So you have to find kind of a good compromise place along this graph where you start to clean up the white area of the page, which also will allow the page to much better match in your portfolio. So when you're putting white images on a white background, you don't have an off-white page on a white background. And that's really the big reason to do this. We can adjust the middle tone here, which if we bring it right, will make the drawing more intense and more dark, but somewhat unrealistic in the way it's done that. So I would maybe adjust this a little bit, but keep in mind the effect it's having, just to bring up a little bit more contrast. So that gets you through the vast majority of what you need to do. Now, sometimes there are other circumstances where maybe I'd want to do a separate whole new layer, just call this white, and actually do some specific painting of white. So maybe that's for more complicated areas or just things I want to get rid of. Currently my opacity is not all the way up. Sometimes this will happen on, say, the edge of a scanned document. If you look here, I don't know how much of this is coming through in the YouTube video, but this edge is really not very clean. The easiest way sometimes is actually just going to be using a white brush like this and just cleaning it off. And then since I'm already doing the levels adjustment, everything's going to white anyways. But that's just sort of the shadow that was happening on that page. You don't have to be too precise. I mean, no one's going to zoom in this closely to a drawing, but it's good to try to be as precise as you can be. And that's sort of the basic cleaning process. Of course, you can do this to greater or lesser extents, but this will get you through most things. And now when you bring this into your portfolio document, it's just generally going to look a lot better and will merge in with other things very well. Of course, when I'm done, I will save this. And I'm going to do a save as, and I would go down to TIFF. TIFF, of course, is the archival format, since I have a new perfect version of this drawing, or at least as clean as I think I'm going to get it. Again, I could maybe tweak the levels adjustment more if I wanted to really sort of balance out how much I'm losing on my line quality / cleaning up the white parts of the page. But I could save, name this something. And I actually would be, well, I could leave layers on or leave them off. I would probably turn them off for the archival purposes, because I probably don't need to go back and make more adjustments to this. If I wanted to, I could save this as a Photoshop file, of course, and keep all of my layers so that I could continue adjusting this if later on I decided that I made it too white or something. But either way, save it, and now you can bring this into your portfolio. So that's going to be it for this one. It was just a quick little one on how to take drawings and clean up the white parts of the page and merge them all into one. Thanks.